name is Mrs. Grafwallner, and I'm a friend of Miss Savick's and the teachers at Willow Glen. And I'm a retired teacher, and I met them in my neighborhood at Willow Glen because that's where I taught. And I miss not seeing them every day and the kids and that. So when Miss Savick called and said, hey, I'm doing this project of having people read stories from my neighborhood to the students at Willow Glen, I said, oh, I'd love to do that. I miss my friends and I miss seeing the kids. So I'm here today to read this story called Amanda's Tree. I chose this story because it was one of my daughter's favorite stories when she was in like 2nd and 3rd and 4th grade. And you can tell it's been loved a lot because it's falling apart. But now I read it to my grandchildren too. And it's a very special story, and it's about this tree. Now this tree happens to be a Christmas tree. Now I know some people don't celebrate Christmas, and that's just fine. But in this story, this tree is very special. First of all, it's funny. Second of all, it helps so many people. And is so kind and considerate and helpful. When I read this story, you'll realize that the tree is the narrator in the story and telling the story. So listen carefully for all the qualities this tree has. This story's author is Jo Jones. Here we go. Amanda's Tree. I am Amanda's tree. I am just a little green plastic creature from the dime store, with every branch bent out of shape. But I'm happy from the top of my treetop angel's halo to the bottom of the wooden base. And I want to make you happy too. I'm not a least bit fancy, with jeweled ornaments or anything like that. There must be millions of little trees like me in the world. Amanda has dressed me with a red bow on the top of one branch, an angel made from a doll's clothespin on another, a paper bluebird, colored a little out of the line, purchased across from a felt teddy bear who is losing his red pointed hat. A nylon net angel hangs upside down, and more angels cut from Christmas cards dance on my nose, my wrist, and on 2 of my ribs. Amanda loves angels, even when their halos have slipped a little. A bright red butterfly rests nestily on my shoulder. I proudly wear a shiny purple goose on a crooked branch. I also have a little lamb that is white with a little black on it. I have some cotton from a pill bottle here and there to make me look like I had been in the snow for a few minutes. A paper drummer boy dangles like an earring. Plastic holly is my necklace. 2 long, thin, silver strands hang from my forehead, pretending they are icicles. I heard Amanda say that she had rescued them from the vacuum cleaner bag. Little white lights cover and warm me. On the top of my head is a felt angel with her arms outstretched, ready to love everybody in the whole world. I want to love you too. See? I first met Amanda after her grandfather bought me from a dime store. He paid $1.98 for me plus tax. When I heard the sale lady say tax, I thought they would hurt, but they didn't. Grandpa dressed me in lights, bundled me up against the winter chill, and headed for the hospital. There I stood on a tabletop by a little girl's bed. I found out later her name was Amanda, and she was 4 years old. She was in a funny-looking tent with oxygen in it and was spending her Christmas trying to recover from pneumonia. At first she was sleeping and didn't seem glad to see me. Then Grandpa plugged in my little white lights. Amanda smiled the brightest smile I ever saw. I thought she had been plugged in too. She and I glowed together. I want to share my glow with you. I heard Amanda's mother say that family and friends helped heal Amanda, but I know I had a part in it. Amanda says that healing works in unusual ways sometimes. If there's any part of you that's not feeling well, I want to help you get well too. Amanda was 5 years old when we shared our first Christmas at her home. When Christmas time came, she decorated me and kept me in her very own room. What a bright spot I was for her. But one night she got up at midnight when everybody else was asleep and took me downstairs. I felt that trip was unnecessary. The family already had a big live tree all decorated with fancy ornaments. But Amanda thought I was prettier and wanted to share the joy I gave her. I want to share my joy with you. When Amanda was 6, her grandma was living with us. Grandma's bones hurt and she had to rest in her room a lot. That year I was hooked up to an extension cord in Grandma's room. I thought it would be dull in there, but oh, how I brightened it up for Grandma. Maybe it was Amanda's love and sharing her tree that brightened that room. I thought it was me. I want to brighten things up for you too. By the time Amanda's 7th Christmas rolled around, she was playing with the little dollhouse. She even had a tiny tree like me in the dollhouse. I thought it was my baby brother. I heard her mother say, "Christmas can't be here already." But it could, and it was. Amanda blew the dust off my angels and straightened up the fallen angel. I thought this year she might keep me to herself. But Grandma was now in her own apartment and said she didn't think she would bother to have a tree this year. Well, I was unplugged and whisked out into the cold to that apartment so fast I could hear my little lamb bleat in protest. You should have seen the difference I made in that dreary apartment. Grandma seemed to come to life and even invited friends over to see me and drink tea with her. I could see the reflection of my light sparkling in Grandma's eyes. I want to make your eyes sparkle too. Amanda had a pony when she was 8. She was so busy feeding, brushing, and riding him that I thought she might forget about me. But as soon as I heard the first warning, only 30 more shopping days until Christmas, there I was again, having a bad bulb replaced. Oh well, at least I don't have to go to the dentist, I thought to myself. Surely this will be the year I can just relax at home and be Amanda's tree. But Grandpa was in the hospital recovering from something Amanda called a heart attack. I had to ride for 7 hours with somebody's foot pressing against my red bow to get to the hospital. Grandpa had seemed to have forgotten about me. He looked awful tired. just lying there in his bed. But as I twinkled my best for him, he remembered me, and soon his twinkle came back. If your twinkle is tired, I want to help yours come back too. When Amanda was 9, she knew a boy in school who thought nobody loved him. He never smiled, and Amanda learned that someone in his family hit him a lot. When I heard her say that, I knew where I was going, and I was scared. If someone would hit a little boy, they might bruise my branches and break my little white lights. Amanda delivered me in a paper bag to the boy's front door. I was wearing a note that said, "Please take care of me this Christmas." Even though I was scared, I felt pretty good. The boy smiled because he saw there was love for him in the world after all. If your smile has been hiding, I want to help you find it. When Amanda was 10, she was taking dancing lessons. Maybe my lights can dance just for Amanda this year, I thought. But Amanda's other grandmother was trying to get well from a pacemaker operation. A pacemaker is a gadget that helps hearts work better. And Amanda added a few candy canes to sweeten me up and took me to Grandma's house. Grandma was so glad to see us that her heart has worked fine ever since. I want to help your heart work better too. Amanda practiced her piano a lot when she was 11 and sang some song called Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. It must have been Italian. That year, she had a friend whose grandmother never sang because she cried every day. It seemed that nobody ever paid any attention to her. I thought I would melt my snow paying attention to her, but it really made me feel good when she stopped crying. I want to help you stop crying too. The year Amanda turned 12, I heard her mother say, "Christmas can't be here already. I had been under a plastic bag for 11 months, and I was all ready to get out." That year, I went to Amanda's uncle's house. He had another little house in the backyard with a half moon on the door. The name of that house was Out. I was glad I was in the in-house. I heard Amanda say her uncle would be spending Christmas all alone for the first time, and he needed my cheer. He kept me next to his favorite chair for a whole month. If your chair needs a lift, I want to help you lift it. When Amanda was 13, the minister broke his leg. Amanda told me, "I'm going to be the minister to the minister." The minister liked being ministered to for a change, and I heard him say, "Thank you," more joyfully than he ever had said it before. I want to minister you too. When Amanda turned 14, she was busy with parties and things, but her mother got strep throat. Mothers are not supposed to get sick ever, and especially not at Christmas. So she brought me to Mother's bedside with a note stuck on the top branch that said, "Don't worry, Mom, I will look after you." Amanda looked after Mother that Christmas, bringing trays and bowls of chicken soup and cups of hot tea. If you are sick, I don't want you to worry either. I want to look after you. When Amanda was 15, boys began to notice her, and I thought, this might be the year I can rest. My branches were starting to sag a bit, but that was the year she learned about the Humane Society and took me, along with a sack of dog food and a bag of kitty litter, to the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. I sure didn't think the animals needed to see me. But when Amanda brought me in, I saw a lost puppy wag his little tail. I even had to run up my lights so that the raggedy kitten could see them better to bathe her little brother. The Humane Society lady said, I gave a lot of lost pets a home that year. If you are lost, I want to help you find your home. Amanda had her driver's license when she was 16. That was the first year to ride in the car while she was driving. Boy, was I nervous. She drove me to the apartment of a military officer. I heard some grown-ups say that he had hit the bottom of the barrel. I couldn't figure out what I had to do with a barrel's bottom, but I sat by my host for 3 weeks and heard him say 21 days, one day at a time, with this little tree's help. Each day, he and I felt a little better. If you have hit any barrel's bottom, I want to help you get out of that barrel. Amanda was working hard on her senior speech when she was 17. I thought I could just sit quietly and listen while she practiced her speech that year. But she had a friend whose grandmother had died. The friend knew she had to share her grandmother with heaven, but she missed her very much. She especially missed singing carols with her while they baked cookies. Amanda told me my angels would remind her friend of her grandma, and she wanted to share peace with her. I hope they were shining some heavenly cookies and carols too. My angels want to share their peace with you. When Amanda was 18, she went to a dance in a long evening dress. She called the boy she went with her date. I thought a date was something you stuffed and rolled in sugar. This date was stuffed into a tuxedo and looked like a penguin. Now that Amanda was doing grown-up things like going to dances, I was afraid she'd only want real grown-up trees in her life. But when I heard her mother say, it can't be Christmas already, Amanda spruced me up and we headed back to the nursing home. A nursing home is a place where kind nurses look after older people who have become ill and whose families can't take care of them. Amanda and her friend went caroling there. I was in one hand and a basket of little gifts for each person was in the other. Their singing was the happiest music I had ever heard. My angels joined in with their harps. My teddy bear jumped up and down. My little drummer boy did his best with his paper drum. My red butterfly fluttered her wings, and the nurse purple goose chimed in with a little harmony. I heard one nice old lady say, "You really brought us spirit." But I think the spirit was already there. I want to share the Christmas spirit with you. When Amanda was 19, she went off to college. When she came home for Christmas vacation, she could tell that her dad was worried about something. He was very quiet and would not joke with her. Amanda didn't know it, but I overheard him telling himself in the mirror that he was afraid of getting old. That year, my home was on the table by Daddy's uneasy chair. A little poem next to me said, "Dear Daddy, as the tree's lights glow, please remember I love you so." Amanda and Daddy read some books together, and soon Daddy's easy smile returned to stay. If you feel worried, I want to help you to forget your worries. I have high hopes that next Christmas will be my happiest one yet. I'm glad that Amanda doesn't put me out with the garbage like she does with those fancy trees when their needles have fallen off. I'll just rest under my plastic cover until I hear, "Christmas can't be here already." Won't you have one socket in your room ready for me? I want to be with you next Christmas. My little white lights want to shine in your night and brighten your Christmas day. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. Sometimes when I read it, I get teary-eyed because that little tree helps a lot of people when they need help. And I hope this year, when you see neighbors in your Willow Glen neighborhood that need help, you remember this little tree and you say, "Hey, how can I help my neighbor?" Well, again, I'm Mrs. Grafwallner, and I hope sometime soon I can read another story to you. So be good and listen to your teachers, and I'll see you next time. Bye.